On numerous talk shows with the USA, I was asked why Muslim imams are more successful in converting all types of criminals in the prison system than Christian priests. Based upon 30 years of research, the answer is actually very simple. Unfortunately, trying to convince hosts in a few minutes that my explanations are correct is difficult, even though I have been able to succeed with some of them when they spend the time reading my website in the name of Allah.org and or listening to my audio videos on alrasuli.com. I have therefore decided that I should have this matter as a separate chapter for my supporters to use at will. Let me recap some fundamentals that may have been overlooked or forgotten. 1. All the records and reports that humanity has about Muhammad, his deeds, his companions, and his thoughts have been bequeathed to us by his victorious followers, totally uncorroborated, unsubstantiated, and unwitnessed by any other human group that can only be suspect as to veracity. In a nutshell, there are no documents whatsoever supporting anything the followers of Muhammad tell us as fact. 2. The reason why humanity has no witnesses to these events is because Muhammad and his henchmen literally obliterated them, be they pagan Arabs, Judaized Arabs, or Christian Arabs. 3. As you all know by now, out of 600,000 hadiths, Al-Bukhari was able to authenticate a core of about 2,700 only. That is 0.45% from all his lifelong collection. Please remember that Al-Bukhari was not a Christian evangelist, a Zionist, or a Jew, but an Imam and a believing Muslim. Now let me point out several items that have easily been overlooked by researchers. Nowhere in the Hadiths or the Quran are we told how Umar ibn al-Khattab, Ali ibn Abi Talib, nor those of most of Muhammad's companions earned their living while supporting Muhammad against his own and theirs kith and kin of the Quraysh. We have also been told on numerous hadiths that Muhammad while in Medina was poor in spite of the fact that his wife Khadija was a very successful and wealthy merchant. What happened to her wealth after she died? After all, Muhammad should have inherited it. Not once did Muhammad work for a living, especially after he married the wealthy Khadija. During my research, I have not found anyone studying these subjects among the so-called scholars of Islam who ever asked these simple questions that require clear answers. When Muhammad died, he was a very wealthy man, not from his hard work or business acumen, but entirely from the booty, plunder, slaughter, and trading in slaves of the pagan, Judaized, and Christian Arabs. He was the head of the first organized crime syndicate in history and the consummate pirate of the desert. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a very important word used in hadith called fay, F-A-Y or F-A-I-E. Fay is Arabic for booty obtained from unbelievers, infidels. According to Muhammad bin Tahir, fay is booty taken from a country or people who submit to Islam without resistance, as distinguished from ghanima, meaning plunder. Umar ibn al-Khattab said, "It was the special privilege of the Prophet to take booty as well as plunder, a privilege not permitted to any other prophet." Umar is correct, since no Hebrew prophet would have found doing such a thing as either moral or divinely inspired. When Muhammad conquered a town, a village, or a tribe without fighting, all the spoils, plunder, booty belonged to him personally, to dispose of as he wished, sanctions of course by Allah. He invariably used this ill-begotten wealth to bribe and entice others into his cult belief system. Muhammadan Islam was and still is about booty, plunder, enslavement, conquest, and destruction. Almost every important verse in the Quran and Hadiths exhort the followers of Muhammad to direct their energies entirely for this purpose. Muhammadan Islam has no concept of salvation or redemption, as understood by the Judeo-Christian traditions or even as understood by the Buddhists or Zoroastrians. It is directed for one purpose only: to wage unrelenting war upon all of humanity until Muhammadan Islam conquers all. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 5.368, narrated by Aisha. Fatima and Al-Abbas came to Abu Bakr, claiming their inheritance of the Prophet's land of Fadak and his share from Khaybar. Abu Bakr said, I heard the Prophet saying, our property is not inherited, and whatever we leave is to be given in charity. And he refused to give them anything. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 3.283, narrated by Qatada. Anas went to the Prophet with barley bread having some dissolved fat on it. The Prophet had mortgaged his armor to a Jew in Medina and took from him some barley for his family. Anas heard him saying, the household of Muhammad did not possess even a single sa' of wheat or food grains for the evening meal, although he has 9 wives to look after. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 7.6, narrated by Anas. The Prophet used to go around, have sexual relations with all his wives in one night, and he had 9 wives. Muhammad must have been a superman. He was able to have the time and prowess to have sex with all 9 wives, while both he and they were starving. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 9.77, narrated by Abu Huraira. While we were in the mosque, Allah's Apostle came out to us and said, let us proceed to the Jews. So we went along with him till we reached Bayt al-Midras, a place where the Torah used to be recited and all the Jews of the town used to gather. The Prophet stood up and addressed them, O assembly of Jews, embrace Islam and you will be safe. The Jews replied, O Abu al-Qasim, you have conveyed Allah's message to us. The Prophet said, that is what I want from you. He repeated his first statement for the second time, and they said, you have conveyed Allah's message, O Abu al-Qasim. Then he said it for the third time and added, you should know that the earth belongs to Allah and His Apostle, and I want to exile you from this land. So whoever among you owns some property can sell it. Otherwise, you should know that the earth belongs to Allah and His Apostle. Muhammad, who had his envious eyes upon the wealth of the hard-working Judaized Arabs, decided that he had the right to dispossess them by revealing his usual made-to-order revelation from his ever-obliging God, Allah. By the way, to make the record crystal clear, these Arabs that Muhammad and the Hadith called Jews were actually, like the Christian Arabs, native aboriginal Arabs, who had willingly and without the threat of death converted to the religions of the Jews and Christians, and who had more right to be in Arabia than the unemployable Muhammad and his thugs. Al-Baqarah 2.223. Your wives are as tilth unto you, so approach your tilth when or how you will. Muhammadan Islam relegates womanhood to the level of field, suitable for plowing and sowing seed, and the man as the tiller. The Muslim wife is only a sex object for the Muslim husband's pleasures and desires, when, where, and how it suits him. They can be sexually violated in any manner, time or place that the Muslim man deems fit. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 1.493, narrated by Aisha. The things which annul prayer were mentioned before me, and they were a dog, a donkey, and a woman. I said, you, Muhammad, have compared us women to donkeys and dogs. Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith 7.33, narrated by Osama bin Zayd. The Prophet said, after me I have not left any affliction more harmful to men than women. With the above references, I have prepared the foundation to explain the title of the chapter. Who are in the prison systems? Murderers, rapists, thieves, and an assortment of violent people. Almost each and every one of the prisoners are men who believe they are superior to women in every way, who actually look at them as sex objects. These criminals also think they are entitled to rob, murder, and pillage to gain wealth. What does Muhammad's Quran tell them? Allah agrees with all their thoughts. Hence, these criminals are sanctified by Muhammad's God, Allah, to do exactly what they think they are entitled to the instant they convert to Muhammad and Islam. Muhammad's Quran is music to their ears, which makes it very difficult for Christian priests to overcome. Case closed.